schedule, but still convened. All right, Lynn, let's go with a roll call, please.
Vukovich.
Here.
Essick. Dixon.
Here.
Farmer.
Here.
Lyle.
Here.
Kerrigan.
Here.
And minutes of the November 10th meeting.
I have a correction.
Yep.
In the ordinance number E1114-3, and I've already spoken to the administrator about this, we had a verbal correction to the language last time, and that that verbal change didn't get reflected in the minutes, so it just needs to be updated.
Okay. Do you have that, Lynn?
Thank you.
Any other
No other.
additions or corrections? So is there a motion that we adopt the November 10th meeting minutes as amended and dispense with reading the minutes?
I'll make that motion. Let
Second.
Jennifer make it, and I'll second it.
Jen made it, Steve seconded. Any further discussion? Is that a roll call?
No.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So visitors, we have Mr. Lowe. Mr. Lowe, any other visitors to address council? We have the folks from Orbit. Let's go on to reports then. I think our solicitor was not intending to be present at this meeting, so we'll go on to the police chief, Chief Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. For November, we did have 35 total arrests and citations. I know in October we were way low, so it looks like we're back to our normal operating. Nothing to speak of out of the ordinary, but just numbers are back up, so whatever happened in October is apparently over.
Do we have that copy here, Chief?
She's got.
Um,
No, I guess we don't.
I have one. I happened to bring it in.
yeah, it was emailed out earlier.
Yeah, it was emailed out, but I don't think it got printed.
I can make copies.
That's
No, I don't need one.
Okay, I made copies last time, everybody had their email copies.
Yep,
so-
that's fine.
So-
That's fine. That's fine. So go ahead with your highlight.
Yeah, if you want a copy, just let me know. But calls for service was normal at 183 compared to 188 from last year. I did the total of arrests and citations. In 2013 at this time we had 230. For this year we're at 309. So we're up again, nothing out of the ordinary, just like we're getting a little bit busier. So it's been very good. Our guys are very proactive, especially in traffic enforcement, so that's been good for us. We are finishing up some training that was required by the state. Once we're all finished with that, we'll actually be reimbursed some money for that training. I don't know exactly how much we'll get back, but then they requested that goes into a training fund to use again for next year. So looking forward to getting everybody done. We're pretty much good to go. We have a couple auxiliaries that just need a few hours, and most of that's done online, so that'll be good. We should get our reimbursement at the beginning of the year. And just to let you know, follow up, that grant that we applied for has still not been announced. Hopefully by next council meeting that will be announced. We're looking for our body-worn video cameras. So as soon as I know about that, we'll let you know. And other than that, we've been pretty busy, but good.
I have a small question. I noticed a lot of speeding citations.
Yeah.
Are those primarily Main Street, or are they various places in the
It
village?
kind of varies. It seems like we're getting quite a bit coming into town, on the west end of town coming east, or vice versa. That seems to be a pretty good spot, and then also on the other direction on Main Street, and then pretty much spread out. We have moving radar in our cars now, so we don't have to be sitting in one spot to get them. We pass you, we can tell your speed, and all our officers are certified to run it and have been running it. So again, it hasn't been anything that's extraordinary speeds, but there's still speeds, and
Right.
we're not very strict on our enforcement speed-wise, but when they see them, they do write them. So.
Yeah, when people are out of town.
We'll take care
And
of
is there any evidence that when you put the speed monitor up, that sign that shows what speed you're traveling, does that actually get people to slow down sometimes?
It kind of depends. I would like to think it does. I mean, most of them it does average out to speed limit or right at real close. But then you have a few people that, let's see how fast my car goes.
There
that's
is.
up your
That's
estimates, but it does do a great job, and we'll average out about the speed limit almost every time.
Actually, Jennifer, there is evidence because it creates a data stream that shows every single piece of traffic that it
Yeah.
sees and records at speed.
Oh.
So we could use it
Yeah,
in
every
a mode that
single
would be just
car.
gathering data and would tell us that.
Okay.
I think you can do that without even displaying, can't you, Chief?
Yeah, we can set it to where it's
So-
just the box.
So
I
the
see.
box can sit there and we can get some data that would tell us.
Yeah.
That might be interesting.
Yeah.
Try.
The hard part that I found just doing the 83 study the last time was making sure we don't have turnoffs, because if you turn off Montgomery, it would actually pick up your speed, so we had a bunch of 9s. And you knew that was wrong, so.
Oh.
But yeah, there's ways to, and that box is very interesting.
Okay.
Stuff we can do with
Great.
that, so. We're putting it back up here real soon, just as long as we let that battery charge.
Oh, right, yeah.
Also, I did email our monthly report for our schools, just so you can see the hours that I've been putting in up there. Nothing extraordinary again to report on that, just the time. We got through their safety lockdown drills, which is always important to make sure we're done by the end of November. So we're all in compliance with the schools for that, and everything's been working great.
Any other questions for the police chief? Thank you, Chief Hayes.
Thank you.
I think the fire chief is at Highland Township right now, and hopefully he'll catch up with us soon. My report, so we'll come back to the chief in a minute. Under my report, I just wanted to officially thank the Board of Trade and all our staff for their hard work to prepare for the big holiday Christmas parade in town. There were lots and lots of people. The school district also, where a lot of festivities occurred down there, and shared some of their facilities for the event as well. So, including staging the parade. So I thought it was a successful event, a lot of folks in town. So thanks for the efforts that it took to do that. Got some correspondence from the EPA, which I forwarded to Charlotte with respect to our inspections. I would imagine she might talk about that later. We're planning on doing the annual report like we normally do in March. So Charlotte's kind of trying to aggregate all our reports in January. Also, we're trying to do some goal setting around some metrics that we can include in the report. Some of you have suggested that we have an opportunity to improve that annual report by setting those metrics up to track how we're progressing. And we're going to be trying to get there in this annual report coming up. And finally, boards and commission appointments. We've had a couple of resignations from the Design Review Board, the Planning Commission, and from the Board of Zoning Appeals, those three boards. So if a couple of you have already suggested some names to me, and I think ORC puts those appointments in the mayor's seat. I don't want to overassume my authority, but if anyone sees anything different, let me know. But I'll be working on making those appointments. So that hopefully by the end of the year we have full boards for the Planning Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and Design Review Board. It makes sense. I think those boards are particularly going to be important as we think about some of the Planning Commission work and what we were just talking about in policy and with respect to some of the development that's coming on right now.
One in each, Craig, or?
Roughly one in each. Yeah. So a couple of you shot some names by me, and we've had a couple of other suggestions with some other names, but don't hesitate to shoot those at me. I may be calling a couple of you for some perspectives. The key is to try to get a good group of people around each of those ideas that have some passion around those ideas.
Must these people be village residents?
Yes.
And is there a place, I think it used to be on the website, brief descriptions of each of those groups.
Yep.
And it's not there anymore.
Oh, really?
It may still be there, I haven't been able to find
Charlotte, can
it.
we make note of that? Make sure it's a great point. We need to.
Because that helps.
We need to have a
ideas.
description and the current members of those, at least three groups, and publish it on our
Or
internal
if it's there,
website.
just tell me where it is.
Okay,
Thank
I'll
you.
look for it.
So that's all I had for my report. The only other component, and when the chief is here, he'll be talking about, but the fire chief and I are working pretty hard on our negotiations, discussions with surrounding townships, Westland Township, Perry Township, and in particular are the two biggest partners that we have outside village limits that we're having discussions about the impact of our new 24/7 coverage and runs. So we may have something to report to the safety committee with respect to the results of that. I do know that Charlotte's working really hard with the fire chief also. Last year was really the first full year when we were operating under 24/7 coverage, so we're starting to get a good idea of what the budget requirements are. So we're taking those into consideration as we imagine what 2015 is going to look like. So as you know, we'll be having the additional revenue from the safety levy that we put on. And council will be needing to take into consideration how we want to allocate some of those funds. Obviously, some of it will have to go to the fire department to take up the slack from depleted funds from their capital improvement projects to cover the payroll that we didn't have during the last year and a half. But we'll likely have some component of it also that we can allocate to police, our police department and other safety services that council might want to think about for next year. So I presume the safety committee or the finance committee, how would council like to, where should that sit? Steve, do you, since the safety committee isn't here, we can kind of semi-jointly cover it, but why don't we have finance deal with that, and then we'll make sure Brett is in the sync with some of that, because I think safety committee will probably see some proposals from the chief about how some of that capital might be used.
Yeah, makes sense. And I'm on both to the extent that matters.
We'll keep all of council in the loop, so if you have some interest and passion around it, always feel free to attend those committee meetings and we'll keep them all rolling. So that's all I have for my reporting. So policy, Jen?
Yes, policy met tonight. We have a few different things to report on. The first is the Ohio Pathway Through Space National Heritage Area Support. And as we discussed, this is a young space enthusiast who is working with Congress to have a space in Ohio that would really just recognize Ohioans' contribution to space exploration. So he's drafted a bill working with Congress, and this is really just our way to show the village support in his effort. So we are looking at the second reading of that. The personnel policy manual amendment. We are really just amending the policy to reflect the group medical insurance plan that the policy committee worked through last month. So this is just an amendment to that policy. That quick fix, I think we moved to the finance committee. We had some discussion around different nuisance ordinances, and we are just going to continue doing some research in other areas on some of those issues that we're looking at with trash and litter and snow removal and different things there. So we're going to continue to research that and see what we can do in this village, look and see what other similar communities are doing in terms of enforcement, and really putting together something that makes sense. So we'll continue to discuss that and work through that. The last thing we discussed was the South Friendship Drive design guidelines. So what we have really is we're looking at a document that amends. It's an amendment to what we put together in August, and so what we're looking at includes some of the details and changes in the guidelines that came from the Planning Commission meeting. We are looking at a first reading of that, and those changes sort of highlights, a couple of the highlights are pedestrian-friendly access in that area, quality of signage, landscaping, and so those are the things that we're going to be talking through, and those are the changes that will be part of this first reading, the ordinance for this first reading. Anything, policy committee, anything you would add to that discussion? No, that's it.
Okay. Any other questions for policy or comments? Okay, infrastructure.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, we met just briefly tonight and went over one issue regarding sewer line replacement at one of the churches here in town that they had replaced a sewer line, but part of that was in fact due to a fault of ours, or potentially a fault of ours. And they had asked for a partial reimbursement for that part of the repairs. So we approved that part tonight, and we'll send that on, I guess, to the Finance Committee along with an invoice.
Okay, so does council need to approve that, Charlotte, tonight, or does finance need to look at it first?
Or really, I'm not even sure that we need to go through finance. It was a request. We're just going to submit the invoice. We looked it over, agreed that it was probably at our fault, part of that small portion, and that portion of the reimbursement should come from us then.
And no, I'm sorry, go ahead. I just was curious, was it something that we didn't?
We have a stop sign through their sewer line. It's been there for years.
Yeah.
We've had an icy spot. I have taken many water samples,
Yeah.
tested it, it would never test. It was sewer, not water. We kept thinking water or spring.
Isn't that amazing? Okay, cool,
But
thanks.
we had a signpost right through their sewer line.
I think we should have a motion that would formally approve the coverage of whatever amount you
We agreed to come out of $500.
Okay, so is there a motion to that effect?
I make a motion that we,
Okay, in compensation for damages for that incident, right? Okay.
One suggestion I have for the future, it might be beneficial to refer this type of issue to the policy committee to maybe draft a policy for situations where the village may be causing some damage to private property and how we go about reimbursing in these types of situations. What's our process? What do we need from the individual or the business, or in this case a church, to consider their requests, things like that. I think that would probably save us a lot of time and energy and
we can still review each case, but if we have
Okay,
a
Jenny,
policy.
you good with
Yeah.
that? Okay, so in the future, we'll have the policy committee examine some, and maybe Charlotte would help to have some models, because this certainly can't be, we certainly aren't unique that way with respect to how this should work.
And there may already, because I thought we had something in place, and maybe just because it's a certain way we've always done it, policy or not, but I thought we had something in place.
I did too.
When it
We
was.
couldn't find it.
John said we didn't. It
Yeah.
was like what you said, a very, done it this way and case by case kind of a, yeah.
Yeah,
So, but
Okay.
it might be.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Steve seconded it.
So any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Good, that's all I have.
Thank you, Robert. Finance, Steve.
Well, Finance met tonight, and the mayor and Jim, and myself were there, as well as Charlotte and Lynn. And you have a host of ordinances in front of you that are routine for those of you who are new to council. The first one, Resolution 12-14-2, is the way we track interest for the year, and that's for an amount to go from Section B2 to Section B3, and it's for $30, and it's just a bookkeeping kind of thing. And the second one is Resolution 12-14-3, where we're taking $5,000, I think, from the general fund to the street fund. And Resolution 12-14-4 is for bills, salaries, and wages for, I think, Concord and a couple of other things like that. And again, these are routine, but we just need to keep our together. There's monies and the accounts to handle it. And then Resolution F12-14-1 is a temporary appropriations ordinance, which we are required by law to put forth before January 1st. And come March, we will do a permanent appropriation. So those four are rather routine year-end kinds of events, and if you don't understand all of it, don't feel uncomfortable, because I've been on council for 25 years and don't understand all of that, but it works out in the end. And then finally, we talked about an advancement of funds for lab equipment grant. We're in 1214.5, we're going to advance certain funds to the water fund that will be reimbursed when we receive the grant monies for the water grant that we have received for lab equipment, excuse me. And that again is a wash. There's no issue there. We talked about the creation of a part-time planning commission coordinator, which would be a part-time position to be employed temporarily, help me with this, Greg, temporarily for about a 6-month period at a certain salary that would work with the village on zoning, on the South Friendship Project, on certain ordinances, working with EPA in that regard, and any other projects that we see fit for that person in that position. There are funds there are funds available in personnel because of the timeline for Charlotte being hired and John Huey resigning, so the funds are there. Emphasize temporary, emphasize doing this for need, a need we have specifically. It may go on longer, it may not go on longer.
I think that's, well, I think some of the discussion we just had with respect to Route 83 would be an example that we could probably invest some time and try to distill issues so that we could constructively talk about how we move forward. That would be square in the wheelhouse of what this position would be.
And that person reports to the village administrator, generally speaking.
Jan, good, okay. And so what do we want, is there an ordinance for that?
Yes, there is.
It doesn't.
Oops, I hope there is.
Yeah, there it is. That would be ordinance E1214-3. So, and then we had a discussion, an ordinance E1214-1, which dealt with employee health savings accounts, and there's some things, we voted to increase that, and it is there to increase from $1,000 to $1,250 for an individual, and from $2,000 to $2,500 for a family. And no one chose the PPO, so we have all of our people in the health savings account, and that's what we're asking that we approve.
Pretty much this just
that.
codifies the recommendation, the authority that council gave the policy in our last meeting. So I think it's pretty consistent, right, Charlotte?
Do you want to deal with that other part of it?
No, I don't think. I think we can. I think we're okay. I mean, essentially, it's the removal of our other PPO because nobody needed it from our policy.
And that'll be reflected in the personnel policy update.
Yep.
And then we had a discussion on a click fix project, which is a package, online package wherein people can call in, write in, email problems in the village, and we could monitor those and get patterns and basically manage the kinds of requests that we receive and see how we respond. And eventually these emails and other forms of communication would end up in a work order, and we could track those. And we all think it's a good idea, but we all think that our plate is full right now, and that we'd like to revisit it in about 6 months and see where we're at.
And probably gather a little more information on
Try to get it,
that to
yeah.
see whether it's a good alternative.
So we would ask for your approval and a positive vote on those issues that I talked about.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Steve. Any other questions for finance? Quite a full agenda that finance covered there. Okay. I see the fire chief is back in the chambers. Chief, do you want to give your report, please?
Yep, in the month of November, we did 27 fire calls for the month, fairly busy month, bringing us our total up to 233 for the year compared to 186 the year before. Nothing really that much, even though we had a pretty good little save up at the Concord Square Apartments on fire. So didn't get out of control, was able to take care of it. Our manpower was a little low, what we liked, but we took care of it on the fire side. EMS side, we did 94 runs, had 102 patients for the month, bringing our total runs for the year to 991 runs for the year compared to 814 of last year. 1,037 patients for the year, and we had 669 transports this year compared to 559. Almost 110 more comparable. So we're staying fairly busy. You look at your comparison sheet with the percentages, and the percentages haven't changed. Everything's running pretty out there the same as they went. So as we did the run totals and bringing our total combined of everything about 1,224 runs for the year through November. So, on the fire and EMS side, you see a calendar that we're still, the guys are still, we still do our regular training and everything, and keeping up with everything that's going on. And we finished our pump testing and started on annual maintenance of the truck, which we're a little bit late in getting some of those things done that we usually have done by now. So, but we been doing some other things also with retrospect to kind of catch up with some of the things. So I finished my last visit to the townships. And, the safety committee has a lot of decisions. I've been meeting regularly with the townships, and that they're aware of what they need to do. So it's a question of what they do and what they send back. We explain to them as their decisions, and we explain to them what's going on. So it's like most of my meetings at the townships have gone fairly well, with the exception of maybe one. So
We're working hard on it.
yeah.
Is there a timeline for those decisions?
Well, there's contracts, really,
December
most of
31st.
them are kind of in transition, let's put it that way. Transitioning from the old to the new.
New. And I would say that the majority of townships understandable. This year will be a transition year for them because it's very hard with their budget, and really, their budget's ending too.
Two of the townships we work with had successful fire renewals or additions. Union Township and Perry both had
Yes.
positive affirmation of their fire levies, so.
The other townships, none of them had anything on, and none of their levies come due, and so they have a lot to work about and a lot to think about themselves. We provided them with a lot of information, so.
Chief, you weren't here, but I thank you and your staff along with our other operations staff, and also Chief Hayes, you also for your staff and folks to help with the holiday parades. So gentlemen, thank you and your staff for your people to help make that a successful event in the village. I presume we were all safe, no injuries, no
problems that we had.
I guess I forget about the Christmas parade. It went off pretty good. How we lined it up, and
lots of people.
Lots of people and everything else. It wasn't very much sound. There wasn't enough Christmas music. It seemed like that's what we reviewed with the Board of Trade. There wasn't enough music at our end down here in front of Village Hall. After the band went through, it got pretty quiet. Usually more floats playing Christmas music because we told the fire trucks to be quiet. And we didn't have anybody playing any music, seemed like we needed something.
Yeah, the band was playing, but yeah, if there's a way to do recorded music.
Recorded music before and somewhat knowing as the parade's going on.
It would be nice, yeah.
Rick's gonna sing.
Oh, good.
I don't think so.
And I have a child in my neighborhood who's very proud, happy owner of a new bicycle. And I wasn't present when he received it, but it had something to do with portalettes, and I never quite got that story straight, but that was, it had to do with the Christmas parade, so.
I'm not sure where that linkage is, but
I
it's
just-
certainly interesting.
Champion.
What they did,
Was it-
they had a champion.
Champion Portalettes is the name of the company?
They give away a bike, John?
Yes, they gave away 3, didn't they?
Yeah, I wasn't sure
Through the
whether it was
parade
just this
route?
one child.
I guess I didn't
Yes.
see that. I mean, I lined them up and talked to them. They had one of the neatest
I
floats.
think 3.
I'd like to just call them out and thank them, because that was a
That's
pretty
champion.
nice and generous thing to do for our community.
That's neat. I didn't realize
Yes.
that.
It's Chris Silva
Oh, okay.
with Champion.
Oh, okay, good, thanks.
They just walked up and handed kids bikes.
My friend of mine got one. He brought it.
I guess I was in the announcer stand helping make sure we announce the floats right. I didn't really get to see too much of the parade.
Yep, we just go up and give somebody a break.
That was a good event, good event.
That's good.
Okay, Chief, anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer, Lynn?
Thank you. The balance of the bank account at the end of November was $784,400. The legislation that Steve hit on that Finance discussed is just routine adjustments that are necessary year end. And Finance Committee will address the permanent budget at the February meeting. And when I was preparing the temporary appropriation ordinance, reviewing year-to-date, our expenditures were pretty much right on line as to what we projected for this year. So we look to be in pretty good shape right now. That's all I have.
New village truck is around.
Yes, and John Marr, the village truck is in town.
Nice and shiny.
Is it red though?
Is it available for viewing yet, John?
Could be.
It's about everything.
Next meeting, how about that? You get to see it next meeting. All right.
They said the mayor gets to drive it for the first 6 months.
I didn't hear that.
Gotta get that step.
First I heard that.
Gotta get that step.
Gotta get that step. I had to help Lynn in.
I was the first one to drive it, actually.
Okay, Administrator Charlotte.
I sent out my report. I hope everyone had a chance to look over it. Our water and wastewater treatment plants are doing well. Water production for, and it says October, and it shouldn't. That's my typo. It should say November. But 7,702 gallons roughly for water production. Wastewater flows 6,867,000 gallons. There were no compliance issues in November. And the mayor alluded to the information that he received from the EPA for our drinking water inspection that occurred in November. Basically, it went well. We do have a few minor findings, nothing serious, things that we can address and correct. And then there were a number of recommendations for things that in the future we might want to consider, such as backup power supply, things like that. So one of the next steps for that inspection is for the village to sit down and write a response to the EPA on the letter that we received. So that will be something that we'll do, and I can share it with council once we have a draft ready to go. In November, on November 25th, I attended the Ohio Public Records and Open Meetings Law Training as the designee for all of council and the mayor. And this was actually a really helpful session. I never attended one of these before, so we actually learned some good information. And one of the pieces that we need to address for our audit records retention schedule that they actually went over in detail. So that was something that we were able to get a lot of good information on. So it was very timely. I also attended an economic development seminar in Marietta. Again, very useful training, well spent half of a day. They presented a lot of good information in terms of economic development incentives and different ways to help retain businesses, attract businesses, different things like that, different strategies that could be used, and various resources around the state and the region that were at local government's disposal. So this is something that will be very helpful, especially with new development, looking at the village and making sure that we're taking care of the businesses that we currently have here in the village as well. Our village operations staff are continuing leaf collection, but we're fairly well done with it. Okay. Because of weather conditions and freezing, things like that, we're going to have to switch over to snow and ice operations. But I think we've got the biggest piles.
We need to do around Village Hall yet. We're
Okay.
gonna try to get that yet this week and see what happens.
Yep. And then major project highlights I've listed out here. I don't want to take up too much time by going through everything, but we're definitely busy and things are moving along. And as mentioned during the committee reports, the part-time position is going to help fill in the gaps on some of these larger planning and development types of projects and other large projects where maybe some additional expertise is needed and would be much appreciated. That's all I have, unless anyone has any other questions.
Are we seeing any savings with the lowering of gas prices? Is that going to be significant for us? Or?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have any numbers on it,
Yeah.
but it definitely
We're
doesn't
going to
hurt.
track that because that could be significant with the police. And
Yep.
I wasn't hearing real well. Are we all set with salt?
we're good.
Yes.
We're good.
We do have a contract with State of Ohio, Muskingum County, so we're good. We just need to order some between now and the 20th of December, so that we've got an order for this year to make it start. So, and we'll be doing that.
And you're authorized to do that. You don't need to.
Yeah.
It's taken care of.
Did you identify the Christmas tree pickup schedule?
I didn't mention that, I'm sorry. We do have Christmas tree drop off this year below the John and Eddie Glenn site in the vacant lot there. I did try and contact ODNR to see if they would be doing any of the recycling like they did last year. I have not heard a response back, but as soon as I hear something, I'll let you all know. But that will happen from right after Christmas until the 15th of January. Residents will be able to drop their Christmas trees off there and we'll pick them up and dispose of them.
We're not going curbside pickup?
Yeah, we'll still pick them up if we need to. If they put them out to the curb, we'll pick them up. Or if they want to drop them off down there, they can drop them off either way.
Okay. Okay, Charlotte, anything else?
I, at this time, do not have anything else, aside from saying this is a very, very large agenda, 10 pieces of legislation, and but I think that everything moved along fairly well, and we're getting a lot of good information on the committee report, so thank you.
Okay, old business then. Resolution 12-414-1, a resolution in support of the establishment of the Ohio Pathway Through Space National Heritage in the state of Ohio. It's the second reading for this.
So move on the second.
Moved.
Second.
Second. Moved and seconded. Roll call on the second reading.
Dixon?
Yes.
Bronner?
Yes.
Kokavich?
Yeah.
Lyle?
Yes.
Kerrigan?
Yes.
And now the motion. Oh, no, we don't need to do that. That was second, sorry. I'm asleep here. That was the second reading. Now we're ready to go to new business. 12-14-2, a resolution transferring various sums of money in the year 2014 budget from various funds listed herein to funds listed and declaring emergency.
So moved.
Moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Jen. Roll call on the emergency.
Kokavich,
Yeah.
Bronner,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Now the resolution.
So moved on resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Bronner,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yeah.
Dixon,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Resolution carries. Now, resolution 1214-3, resolution transferring various sums of money in the year 2015 budget from various funds listed herein to funds listed and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Moved by Bill.
Second.
Second by Jennifer. Roll call on the emergency.
Kerrigan,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yeah.
Dixon,
Yes.
Bronner.
Yes.
Now the resolution.
I move on the resolution.
Second.
Moved by Jen, second by Bill. Roll call.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Kokavich.
Yeah.
Dixon.
Yes.
Bronner.
Yes.
Now, resolution 1214-4, resolution authorizing proper village officials to pay bills for purchases made 2014 and to pay salaries, wages, and bills for 2015 from the respective appropriate funds upon satisfactory evidence of validity when due and declaring an emergency.
So moved on emergency.
Moved by Jen,
Second.
second by Robert. Roll call on the emergency.
Bronner,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yeah.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Now the resolution.
So move on the
Moved
resolution.
by Robert,
Second.
second by Jen. Roll call.
Dixon.
Yes.
Bronner.
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
And now resolution 1214-5, a resolution to return advance funds from the water fund to the lab grant fund and declaring an emergency.
Move.
Second.
Is that you, Jennifer?
Yes.
Moved by Jennifer, second by Bill. We declare the emergency and draw the resolution. Roll call.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kerrigan,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yeah.
Bronner.
Yes.
And now the resolution.
So moved.
Moved by Bill,
Second.
second by Jennifer. Roll call.
Kerrigan,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yeah.
Dixon,
Yep.
Bronner.
Yes.
Resolution carries. Now ordinance E 1214-1, ordinance to amend E 616-1 by increasing the annual contributions to Village of New Concord Employee Health Savings and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Steve, second by Jennifer. Roll call on the emergency.
Kokavich,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yep.
Bronner,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Now the motion.
I move.
Moved by Jennifer, second by Steve. Roll call.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Bronner,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Now ordinance E 1214-2, an ordinance to amend personnel policy manual for employees and officers of the village and declaring emergency.
So moved on emergency.
Moved by Jen,
Second.
second by Robert. Roll call.
Bronner,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yeah.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
And now the ordinance.
Move on the ordinance.
Moved by Robert,
Second.
second by Jen. Roll call.
Dixon,
Yes.
Bronner,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yeah.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Ordinance carries. Now ordinance E 1214-3, an ordinance to create the position of part-time planning coordinator, authorize the mayor to appoint part-time planning coordinator and to establish the job description, including salary, benefits, conditions of employment, declaring emergency.
So moved on the emergency?
Moved by Bill,
Second.
second by Jennifer. Roll call on the emergency.
Kerrigan,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Bronner.
Yes.
And now the ordinance.
I move that we pass the ordinance.
Moved by
Second.
Jennifer, second by Bill. Roll call.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kerrigan,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yeah.
Dixon,
Yes.
Bronner.
Yes.
Ordinance carries. Now ordinance F 1214-1, ordinance establishing temporary appropriations for the Village of New Concord during the fiscal year ending December 31st and declaring emergency.
So moved.
Moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Bill. Roll call on the emergency.
Kokavich,
Yes.
Kerrigan,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Bronner,
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Now the ordinance.
So moved.
Moved by Bill,
Second.
second by Steve. Roll call.
Kerrigan,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Bronner,
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
And now, finally, ordinance K 215-1, an ordinance to amend K 814-1 to adopt final South Friendship Drive Development Plan design guidelines as part of the comprehensive land use plan of the Village of New Concord. This is just the first reading only.
So moved on first reading.
Moved by Robert,
Second.
by Jen. Any further discussion? Roll call on the first reading.
Dixon,
Yes.
Bronner,
Yes.
Kokavich,
Yeah.
Lyle,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
First reading carries. Approval of bills.
I move to pay the bills.
Motion to approve the bills as listed. Any, do we have those on the table? Okay. I don't even see them. Is
I'll
any
second that.
moved and seconded, we approve the bills as listed? Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Announcements, our next scheduled planning commission meeting is January 29th, and village council, please note, it's to help spin up for the next year, it's going to be January 19th. That's the third Monday instead of the second for January at 7:30 here, and I think we have some council meetings scheduled, committee meetings scheduled in advance, and likely probably another committee policy, probably sometime even before then. Is that correct? Is that kind of what we're thinking?
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have a policy meeting sometime in the next week or two to discuss the South Friendship Drive
Okay.
design guidelines. Also in January, we'd like to try and hold some type of a budget workshop for the finance committee to review the budget and our proposal for 2015 before council actually sees the final budget for approval in February. And then the last item that I didn't mention during my report, and I apologize for that, are the proposed schedules for 2015 for the council meetings. They're on the table. I just want to make sure that everyone's had a chance to look over it. I've put on the schedule some opportunity for 2 meetings a month should we need it, just as a placeholder for your calendars. Those are in the light gray. The dark gray meetings are the actual official meetings that we'll have every month. That's kind of the plan. I also put on the table the proposed planning commission meetings for the year so that we can advertise those all at the beginning of the year. Everyone will know when they are. We won't have an issue with scheduling, and our residents will be able to expect those to happen should we need them.
Yeah, Brett had that idea that we should
Yes.
reschedule them, so if somebody has an application, we'll already have a date set, we won't have to announce it. We still may have to adjust it to get everyone there, but at least we have a placeholder so that the public can anticipate one of those meetings when we have one. Okay. So, anything else, Charlotte?
I did have a real quick, anybody that did not go to the Christmas parade or was aware, George Sinclair has a display above the Harper Cabin of a whole bunch of pictures of the history of New Concord.
Outside?
Inside, the second floor of the Harper Cabin. He had a couple other people assisting him, but for the most part, he put that together, and it's a very, very nice display of very early homes and buildings and businesses and some group pictures, but it's something really worth taking a look at. He did a fantastic job.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Any other? We're ready to adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
So moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second, and thank you, council, for lots of hard work. We had lots of, and happy holidays to everybody, and hope you all have a good new year. See you next year. Motion to adjourn? We move?
Oh,
We are now. We are adjourned.
How you doing?